decades, wrestling for several different promotions. But they all seem to have one thing in common. Just one thing missing. They just don't seem to have enough competition for Tunku. And I am ready to break out of my comfort zone. A couple days ago, I was presented with an opportunity, and I had to think on it. But now I've got my answer, and the answer is yes.
Oye, it's me, Alex Torres, with Omar and Gerardo. This is TWP Podcast, and today we're interviewing a new talent that you guys may see in the Impact reality show right now, and his name is Tunku Amir. Hey, man, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Thank you for your time. I know that, your schedule probably has been cleared up because of the situation around the world. So thank you for your time, man.
Thank you for having me on here.
Thanks, man. So how's everything, in Singapore right now?
Singapore is great. Well, I'm quarantined, but now I finally have time to do things that I normally can't do, I started cooking, which is crazy because I usually hate cooking. I started reading a bunch of books. There's more time to watch wrestling. I'm kind of enjoying it, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's like a vacation, something like that.
Yeah, it's like a 14-day vacation.
14-day vacation. Well, what we can do, we're doing good. We're doing good. In my case, I'll still have to work. I have to go to the office and they have to work remotely. But yeah, we're doing good. And Omar, I think he's in a forced vacation mode as well.
Yeah,
right. And Gerardo probably something deep like that, right?
Yeah, so. Like.
All right, man. I don't want to get into your stuff and your time. So we're gonna start the interview. So Gerardo, you can start ahead with the first question.
Yeah, with the first question, were you a fan of wrestling growing up? And if so, can you tell us more about it, basically?
Yeah, I started watching when I was about 10 years old. It just randomly appeared on my TV, and it just caught my eye with all the fireworks and larger-than-life characters. I grew up watching people like Batista and John Cena. And my childhood hero was Batista. And yeah, I think a lot of my style is influenced by people like Batista and Edge, but mostly because when I was young, I really, really hated Edge. So, obviously he's doing a lot of things right. And if I'm playing a heel and I want other people to hate me, I might as well just study from the best.
Exactly. So you're basically from the ruthless aggression era, not like the attitude era, right? Okay. So yeah, probably that will be my next question. So you saying that when you were a kid, you were following wrestlers like Cena or Batista or Edge. So that was and by that era, they basically only WWE because WCW wasn't there. So besides WWE, do you were following the other promotions like Ring of Honor or TNA by that time, or just only WWE?
I didn't know Ring of Honor existed till I was about 18, when I got really, really into wrestling. When I said maybe I want to pursue this seriously, When I was young in Singapore, nothing was really that big apart from WWE. TNA came on TV from time to time, but I never really took it that seriously. So I was mostly a WWE guy growing up. I didn't even know independent wrestling existed when I was younger. So.
Okay. Yeah, and probably, that's an accurate answer because, probably there's a lot of people that, start consuming WWE, and then with this era, with the internet and everything, they find out that there's more promotions like you were saying. So, okay.
Yeah.
Omar.
At what age did you decide to be part of the business, of the wrestling business?
19. I remember my mom asked me, what do I want for my 19th birthday? And I said, can you put me in a wrestling school? Which is like, what? That's crazy. And she didn't want me to do it. She still doesn't want me to wrestle. She wants me to focus on school and getting an education. But I've been so committed that my mom realized that this is something that I truly want to do. So I think she's kind of accepted it.
Okay.
That's good.
Gerardo.
So basically, when did you start training as a wrestler then?
Probably a couple days after I turned 19.
Okay.
That's when I started training. Yeah.
So did you start training over there in Singapore then, before going to the States? Okay. So what was the name of the person who trained you over there?
I was trained by this. The owner, the guy who owns Singapore Professional Wrestling is Vadim. He's retired. I was trained by Andrew Tang, who is still currently wrestling, and he co-owns SPW right now.
Okay.
I'm glad to see everyone again. Well, after I'm done recording, you know.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. So you told that you start training over there in Singapore and everything, but how was your first experience as a wrestler? Meaning that your first match or your first event. How can you tell us about a little bit about that first?
Your debut.
It was absolutely nerve-wracking. I remember first, I could not breathe. My heart was like pounding through my chest, and I went to the ring. And I have good cardio, but then the second I stepped in, I was already blown up within like 10 seconds because I was just so nervous, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's something that everyone has to go through.
And of course.
And the match itself was terrible, obviously, but it's a learning experience, and
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, right?
yeah.
Just
It felt amazing though.
I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if we go back to talk about your training, probably the first bumps that you took in the first day probably has to be horrible. Probably you have a point that said, "Man, well, I'm doing the right thing."
Yeah, I was like, this is hard. I was getting super dizzy from all the bumps, but then you get used to it, you know.
Okay.
It was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah. What wrestling companies or company are you currently with?
Working with right now.
What companies am I currently working with? I'm a regular at Chikara.
Okay.
I've done some stuff with Impact, but I don't think I'll be doing any stuff with Impact for a while. I wrestle for companies like 01 USA, which is run by Anthony Green, which is a great place to be. I do a lot of shows in Massachusetts. Basically, anywhere I can at this point.
Okay.
But my regulars would be Chikara.
Okay.
You prefer to work as a babyface or a heel?
I have more experience as a heel, but I prefer working as a babyface more. It just
Cool.
I enjoy it more.
Okay.
You know?
And probably that depends on how the mood of the fans, right? Probably you think you're a baby face and they're starting booing you, or the opposite. The fans these days, we don't have a clue how they're gonna react, right?
Yeah, you have to adjust and go with the flow.
I skip a question I forgot to ask you because we jumped to the U.S. So how was it your transition of going from Singapore and going to the U.S. for the first time, to try to accomplish your dream as a wrestler? How that came up, so going to your hometown, coming here to the U.S.?
My transition was pretty smooth because I've been thinking about it for a year before I made the move. So pretty much I picked which wrestling school I wanted to go to, and then I picked the university that was around that wrestling school. So I already had a place to stay, and my parents support my education, so they handle all that, but I had enough money saved up for wrestling. I had enough money saved up for a car and all that, so it wasn't that bad,
Okay.
Okay. So and do you have any issue with the language barrier? When you came to the U.S. or you speak English, when you were living in Singapore?
I was speaking English when I was living in Singapore, so I didn't have a issue with the language barrier. I had an issue with a lot of the American slangs, though. That took me a while to pick up, but
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. I'm the same.
That's usually the case, but you start watching TV and then you get a hang of it. So
yeah.
Oh my.
What are your 5 wrestlers of all time?
5 favorite wrestlers of all time: Batista, Edge, Matt Hardy, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins.
That's a nice list, man.
You got a good balance. You got a good balance.
All after the Ruthless Aggression era, though.
No, yeah. Basically, that's as growth like aggression. Well, except for Rollins and KO, that is from this era. But that's accurate. Probably in your era, your age. Probably in my case, that I'm of the oldest of the group. I'm with the Warrior, Hogan, all those old schoolers.
Yeah.
Probably the other two are more the attitude
Stone
era.
Cold, The Rock.
Mm-hmm. We can debate, but I like your list.
I like your list too.
Geraldo.
So you were recently a participant in the Impact Wrestling Gut Check. I had an opportunity to watch the episodes you were involved in, and how was that experience? And I don't know. I really got like a weird vibe out of it in terms of how the show is edited, maybe. So how was your experience being as a wrestler, maybe?
What do you mean by a weird vibe?
I don't know. It's the way they made the show. Like, for example, you had that exchange with I forgot the name of the wrestler when you were actually telling him that when he was supposed to highlight a move.
Playing games?
That guy, yes. So, and it was interesting because you don't usually see that type of exchange between wrestlers, because normally those things you say like backstage, and they decided to just like put that like, and then when Scott D'Amore spoke about it, he said like, oh yeah, he shouldn't be thinking about that. He should be thinking about winning the competition. So I don't like, for me it was weird because it was like, in a way, throwing you under the bus, but you were actually right when you were.
I agree.
When you were telling him like, dude, like you were supposed to highlight my move, like it was my time because I made you look good. Now it's your time to make me look good. But yeah, for me it was weird that they would film that and then use it against you. That's what I mean about being weird.
I think the gut check was a really good experience, and I did get a lot of bookings out of it. And
yeah,
when I was there, it was a 10-hour drive, which is terrible. But like I loved every second of it, and being a part of Impact Wrestling especially when I'm only less than a year into wrestling, it's a huge privilege.
Oh, it is after a year, yeah, and being called you in for something on a company like Impact, that's a good experience that you got in your 1 year experience. Let me put it that way. So and what's the outcome of this? You finish with this reality TV. So what is supposed to be your relationship with Impact after this?
It just means that I think it's their way of saying that they've noticed me and they're keeping their eye on me. So it's up to me to continue improving and working hard, and hopefully I'll get another chance in Gut Check, and maybe eventually I'll get signed, because being part of Impact would be a great thing for my career.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And as for the editing, it is reality TV, so it's, I don't want to say things are scripted, but they're gonna encourage you to create drama that they can film, and they already know who's gonna win and who's gonna lose, so they're gonna edit the scenes according to, what they want.
No, obviously, yeah, it's predetermined, obviously, and for a fact that they already knew which people were going to the finals, obviously, but at the same time, I think that, well, yes, as you said, it's reality TV, and you need to create drama because that's what sells, after all. But yeah, for me, it was my first time watching the show. I've seen like Tough Enough, like other types of reality TV, wrestling related reality TV, but this one in particular, I think that compared to Tough Enough, obviously, which I think it was better structured. Like it was more about the wrestler, it's themselves than the other people involved. Like it wasn't because I saw that the coach, the guy that I don't know his name, I forgot his name too. He was like trying to get a lot of attention. Like it's like, dude, okay, you're the coach and everything, and you're trying to, but it's about the wrestlers. It's not about you.
It's about you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
But at least you like you told us, this experience helped you to get more bookings, have better exposure. So in a way that it ended up being a good thing for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. It can only be a good thing, even if I didn't make it to the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still, it's more eyes on me.
Yeah. Awesome.
The exposure too. Yeah.
What is your dream match or dream matches if you have more than one?
What's my dream match? Ooh. I want to wrestle John Cena.
Ooh.
No.
You have a big money match. That's great.
High expectations.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the expectations high.
No, definitely, yeah.
That's great.
Hey, let me ask you something. That's something that occurs to me. Do you know that I'm probably going with Impact again? You know that right now the Impact champion is Tesha Blanchard, and what do you think about this era right now about women wrestling men right now, especially and I'm using Impact as an example, but basically Tessa is the champion of that company. Is that something that you ever experienced before or not yet, or what's your input about that?
Well, in Singapore, females aren't allowed to wrestle males, but in the U.S. that's completely different. And I think it just depends on people's perception on the subject. I think most people are leaning towards women's empowerment, but I do know some people that say that what's the word for it? Encourages abuse. But that seems like a small percentage of people, and most people see it as women empowerment. So I would encourage that, as long as that perception stays intact.
Okay, got you. So right now, in your, you're right now is just starting your career as a new talent in a way. So right now, what is your goals in short and long term?
Well, I was going to say short term I want to get really good, but that's like a skill that wrestling is a skill that you have to constantly be improving. And short term, what is my goal? I would say within 4 years, which I consider is a short time, I want to be a prominent name in the U.S. independent wrestling scene. Long term, I'll want to main event WrestleMania. That is my goal. That's what I told myself that I would do when I started wrestling.
Okay. That's a good goal. Omar, I'm gonna give you that question to you.
Okay. How do you want to the people remember your legacy when you finish your career?
I want to be remembered as someone that helped others. I want to be remembered as someone that brought a positive vibe to the locker room, and someone who is really good at what I do.
Okay. Gerardo, I'm gonna give that one to you.
Okay, so what advice would you give to people that are trying to start in the industry, no matter the role, either wrestler, referee, and a message that you have to all your fans? Or
if you want to start being a part of professional wrestling, I would say make sure you find a good school, because a good school can make all the difference. If you're trained by the right people, it'll give you a huge head start. Because I was trained at Chikara. The second I graduated, I was able to get bookings every weekend. But if you're trained at a school with a lower reputation, then it might take you a year to get bookings every week. So,
Who trained you there in Chikara?
The head trainer is Mike Quackenbush. I've been trained by Ophidian Hollow Wicked as well.
Okay. And in this promotion that you're being wrestling in the past month, are you being able to meet any well-known wrestlers currently?
Yeah, I met Simon Grimm. I took a seminar with him, which was
cool.
awesome. I've met John Morrison, Rhino, people like that. Scott D'Amore is a big name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay. And did they saw you wrestling? Fighting, in your case, or it was only the backstage thing?
A couple of them saw me wrestle. Simon Grimm saw me wrestle. Scott D'Amore obviously saw me wrestle, but John Morrison, it was a backstage thing.
No, okay.
There's a huge list of people that I've met, but like it's slipped through.
Okay.
So basically, Shikara usually films like seasons. Are you actually involved in the season itself, or are you doing like house shows with them?
I'm involved in the season itself.
In the season itself? Okay.
Right now, everything's been put on pause, so I don't know when that's gonna start again.
Okay.
Omar,
How do you describe your wrestling style?
I would say powerhouse, striker, and dirty. I don't mind cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw some videos. You have like a combination of a couple of them. So what you're saying is very accurate for what we saw, in your videos, in your Instagrams and everything. So yeah, makes sense what you're saying. All right, man. To conclude this, this podcast, what are you doing in the upcoming days with this? Now that you're being quarantined, are you in the video games things? You're reading books. What are you up to, man?
What am I up to during my quarantine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to kill these 14 days as quickly as I can so I can get back out there and start wrestling again. Because wrestling is happening in Singapore. It's not canceled yet, so.
Okay.
Okay. So you over there, you can keep training and and that's nice. You never know. Maybe there's like a promotion over there that you can do it while all these things happen. But you don't know how much the traveling ban is in right now happening. So making sure that after a couple of weeks you have the goal to go back to the U.S. So.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, makes sense. That going to your roots, to your trainers and everything, and do what you love to do, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys.
So before concluding, you said about picking up the school. So how did you choose the Wrestle Factory? What made you choose the Wrestle Factory instead of other schools in the area?
Well, I picked like 5 schools, and then I watched their wrestling, and I think Chikara had the best wrestling, and I knew that Mike Quackenbush was a very reputable trainer in the U.S. He trained people like Cesaro and Drew Gulak.
Cesaro.
Yeah.
Just those are just 2 lists that
You pick a great school.
Yeah, it was a great school. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Omar, your last question.
How we can find you on the social networks?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Tunku Amir SG. Very easy to find. My Instagram is awesome.
Yeah, and we make sure that when we start promoting, this interview, we're gonna make sure that your social networks are over there too. So, man, I appreciate your time, and thank you for your time. And anytime you want to participate in the podcast, let us know.
Awesome.
And we'll do it. So, all right, man. So, guys, and I'm gonna say this in Spanish, bueno, a todos los que están escuchando esto, gracias. Pueden seguirnos por las redes sociales, por la Trifulca Wrestling Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, y suscríbanse al canal de YouTube. Denle a la campanita para notificaciones. Así que a todo el mundo les damos las gracias. Omar, Gerardo, hey man, thank you again for your time.
Thank you,
All right, guys, that's it. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Yeah.